Hey YouTube, what's poppin' everybody? East New York's finest, hosted by Mike. I just basically want to talk to you guys a little bit about this controversial book that is given out for free at Walgreens. Not every Walgreens have it. It depends on which Walgreens. I guess anywhere you go where they're giving out Pfizer shots, there is a Pfizer and Marvel collaborated Avengers Everyday Heroes comic book. It is a #1 issue. There is no what is it UPC code on it, so it's not a book that's gonna be sold, and it's a book that's given out at the pharmacy if that specific store gives out the Pfizer shot. Anywhere where you can get Pfizer shots should have this book. I don't think it's just a Walgreens exclusive. Um, I I was going to Walgreens anyway for a couple things. One, I had to pick up some toothpaste and some other stuff. And as I was walking by the pharmacy area, and also this other YouTuber I watched, I think on Monday night, or no, today is Wednesday, right? Yeah. So I think Monday night or something, Monday or something like that, I was watching somebody's video, and he was showing how there are some of the older Marvel Legend figures at Walgreens that if you have the membership, if you're a Walgreens member, they're going for $7.19 versus you paying 19 or 20 something dollars for them. They're 70% off. And I took advantage of that. So I'm walking by the pharmacy window, and I seen these comic books sitting there, and I'm like, what the hell? And I was like, oh snap, you guys sell comic books now? And that one pharmacist looked at me like, what the hell is this guy talking about? And I pointed to her. She said, oh, where the hell we get these from? So I guess one of the head people came over, and he's like, yeah. So he explained it to me. And he's like, yeah, they're books. And so then the other lady came up and said, yeah, take as much as you want, please. She said, take as much as you want, please. And she looked around. She said, because a lot of these young niggas out here, they only into, sneakers and digging up in somebody's booty. These young niggas out here don't give a shit about reading. You know that. And I was looking at her, and I'm like, okay. I kind of made her feel a little uncomfortable because I guess she expected me to really agree with her. But it didn't trouble me because she's black. I speak the truth too. They always say if you ever want to hide anything from a black person, put it in a book. And that's not just an urban legend. It's true. A lot of if you want them to be, you want them to see everything, put everything in a rap video, put everything on the back of some female's jeans, and or put in a text message, and I guarantee you motherfuckers will be a lot more intelligent. But if you put something in a book form, it's true. I have to. She's right with what she said. I found it funny and oddly weird that she would say that, being that she was in her position and that she said it so publicly, even though she didn't say it loud. I know some people did glance what she said, but not everybody at the pharmacy area heard it. But anyhow, she's like, yeah, just take all of them. And I was like, I'll leave like 4 or 5. No, take them all. But I did leave like 5 or 6 of them. I did take one copy and I read it. And at first I read it. And then I was like, well, yeah, I'll take a couple. And that's when she already said what she said. But she's like, yeah, just take it. I don't care, whatever. Because we already had that conversation. And I'm like, yo, it's actually not a bad book. And then I came home and I looked it up. And then I wanted to look up people's reviews on it on YouTube. And on YouTube, people just going crazy. Oh, Pfizer, they animals and bop. Let me tell you something. Pfizer is a big pharmaceutical company. They do a lot of great outbreak medication to where, yeah, they are a big pharmaceutical juggernaut. And like any other business, they are very wicked. They all are. All these businesses are catch-22. Marvel, same thing. Y'all love Stan Lee, but at the same time, Jack Kirby basically died almost shamefully. Like, he really didn't get the recognition that he got, and Stan Lee was only on a pedestal Stan Lee was on, because let's face it, he robbed Jack Kirby and got credited for a lot of Jack Kirby's artwork and other shit, and that's why Stan Lee was where he was and why Jack Kirby wasn't, because truth be told. But you guys sit there and praise that. Now if you guys get another 15, 20 people going on YouTube back to back saying the same thing I'm saying, then it'll be a thing. But other than that, everybody want to just kiss ass and jump on the bandwagon and troll and be sleep sheep instead of woke wolves. I've always been a woke wolf, and it is what it is. Same thing when you think of companies like Walmart and Target during the during the COVID and shit. You guys gotta remember something. Walmart has a huge contract with governments all around the U.S. Target has a big contract with what they do with side hustles, as far as like giving away with FEMA and Red Cross. They have contracts with Red Cross and FEMA, just like Walmart and them do. Why you guys think all the essential places like mom and pop grocery stores did stay open? Because a lot of the money that they contribute, they buy from wholesalers, where the wholesalers buy from companies like Walmart and Target and stuff like that. Why do you think Aldi's and all these places were allowed to stay open during this crazy pandemic, when a lot of other businesses were had to close down, and a lot of people went bankrupt and lost a lot of money? And then they figured by giving you that little chump change shit that we're all paying for now with high gas, buying bags now and all this other shit, it wasn't free, because it's never free. You always got to pay for something, and we're paying for it now. Then everybody's sitting here talking about Trump and Trump administration. Let me tell you something. It takes over 4 years for any administration to move on. Obama had to clean up 8 years of Bush's fuck ups. All right, and I'm just gonna leave it as that. And Trump was in trouble before he even got inaugurated. And he did 4 years where he had no peace, and he could not fix any of the fucking bills that Obama passed, because he was in there for not even a true 4 years, because he was everybody was fighting him for 2.5, almost 3 fucking years out of the 4 he did. So he had to clean up, this man had to clean up 8 years of a fucking Obama's crazy shit. And then we got this old decrepit jackass that's in now. So he's basically doing 10 years because he served 8 with Obama. It's just that now he moved up in the rank. Now he went from being a vice exec to the head CEO. So basically, he's still ruining. Instead of him cleaning up these first 2 out of the 8 years that he helped fuck up, he's actually making fucking 10 years of fucked up decisions that him and his administration made 8 years out of the 4 prior. So keep that shit in mind. Y'all don't complain about that. And when you go back and think about Walmart and Target and stuff, some of you guys and girls sit there and y'all love Sideshow and all these guys, and y'all praise them, y'all hate them, y'all praise them. But at the same time, Pfizer does make a lot of groundbreaking medications that do save a lot of lives. And they do experiment on a lot of people. They do it in the military. They do it amongst incarcerated and detained individuals. They do it against people that already dying. So they figured, fuck it, try it on me. What else I got to lose? Yes, but Walmart and Target do the same fucking thing. Y'all sitting here talking about this, that, and the third, but y'all wear leather shoes. Y'all wear Jordans and all that. But y'all sitting there going buying hamburgers and eating fried chicken and shit. But you don't look at all the poor animals that were sacrificed and mass produced and mass made and mass raised to feed your gluttoncy. That's not a word, but you guys understand. But you don't say nothing about that. You don't say nothing about the slaughterhouses and shit that cater to your, you know what I'm saying, your survival. Y'all sitting here wearing Jordans and shit, and it's all made from animals. Yeah, some of y'all have animals, but y'all have snakes and stuff, but you don't have no problem feeding a hamster or a snake. Feeding a hamster or a rat to a snake or to a damn tarantula. Some of y'all go out there and get tarantulas to give your lizard or something a different meal. So you don't feel guilty for that. So why is that not evil? That's all nature of life, right? You have a regular mom and pop store that can buy this figure. Let's say this figure came packaged, right? And he's selling for $19.99. Suggested retail price is $19.99. Some stores may have the exact $19.99 on it. Some stores may put an extra $3 to $5 on it, because even though suggested retail price is this and that. But do you guys know that a mom and pop store pay close to retail close to suggested retail price from a wholesaler. You have a wholesaler, you have a vendor, and you have, the retailer. A vendor gets it at a slightly discount than wholesale. Wholesale is wholesale. A vendor is a person that gets a hold of it and they sell it to another retailer or whatever, right? So, you may have a store you may have a store like Target and Walmart that will put this figure out for the suggested price of $19.99. Then you have a mom and pop store that has to pay a little bit more. So in order for them to make a $4 or $5 profit off of each figure, they got to sell it for $3 to $5 more. Y'all go to these stores and y'all complain and y'all argue with them. Then you get mad that you got to pay taxes on it. And then y'all sit there and use word of mouth and say, oh, they're too expensive. They're too greedy. Why are they asking this much and that much for? But then you don't know the behind the scenes. Now, you got Walmart that deals directly with the wholesaling vendor, which is a whole different level. Because they deal directly with the factories in China and shit. They, where they get the stuff. So they're buying barges load of this, not just a truckload. They're buying barges of this shit. So if this is suggested retail price at $19.99, they're paying about $6 to $7 up for each one of these figures. So if they're basically making almost 1.5 profit off of each figure that they're distributing all over the continent. But at the same time, it's easier for y'all to sit there, bitch, moan, and get angry with the mom and pop store. But then y'all realize that they probably pay $18 or $19 for something that suggested retail price is $20. So technically, they're only making a $2 profit. So in order for them to make that extra $3 to $4, they have to charge you a little bit more. But y'all don't see that. You don't understand that the mom and pop store is a store you need to deal with because that's in your neighborhood. They keep the money rolling in your neighborhood, and at the same freaking time, they're putting that stuff there for their customers to be able to pick up a collectible that they want. But y'all don't see that. Same thing with this fucking comic book that I just said. Now, I was sitting here looking at a lot of people attack the book and attack Pfizer and Marvel and talking about how wicked and evil they are. But at the same time, you guys are not sitting there making podcasts about why you're not upset with Balenciaga for doing what they did to Kanye. But at the same time, when other people jump on the bandwagon about the same company hiring this so-called camera place or whatever the hell, where they got kids in bondage, and it's okay. But when you get people like Kanye and Colin Kaepernick do things for the right reasons, y'all always side with the wrong people for the wrong reason. But at the same time, you get together and bitch and moan when it benefits you. And then I had to sit back and second guess my reading and say, let me read this book again. Because I looked at a lot of reviews on YouTube about a lot of people doing podcasts. And they made it seem like, anybody remember that G.I. Joe episode where Cobra was basically holding the world ransom and they were putting those spores up in the air and coming down in the atmosphere to have a whole bunch of mindless slaves and shit like that. Y'all made it seem like if that's what this was. Pfizer and Marvel are not teaming up and trying to brainwash your kids into getting the vaccine. Read the storyline for yourself, first of all. First of all, this book, I find it interesting. The storyline was pretty decent for what it was. Anybody ever remember the Avengers Age of Ultron movie? This has a little bit of that in it. And, it's basically an old man there with his grandkids and I guess his child or whatever. The storyline is actually pretty decent. And yeah, it's advertisement in the back, and it does say vaccinate and stay up to date with the latest recommended booster for you. And it says, and be an everyday hero. Basically, that's what the subtitle is, Avengers Everyday Hero. But the whole book is not sitting here trying to brainwash you or your children into getting the COVID, saying the COVID test. Even toward the last 2 or so pages, it's just basically advertisement like, hey, blah, 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 yada, 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 this, that, and third. I guess they basically wanted to try to come across a decent storyboard to why they would just add the COVID-19 in this book. And I thought they did. I thought it was kind of genius on how the story came about. To me, I like the fact that, they wanted to have a place to where and why you would have Pfizer and the COVID vaccination team up with this book. And to me, I think is fucking genius. Hey, you got people sitting there waiting patiently to go take the vaccine. That's something that they chose to do because it's still a free country. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you decide to do it for your kids, because if you think it'll better you and or your family and keep you and your family safe, who am I to be against it? Why are you guys not sitting here talking about the evil and sickness of all this promoting fucking sexuality? And ask yourself why they're promoting homosexuality and they try and teach kids in school to not call boys boys and girls girls, because now you're basically secluding a child that may not identify as either. So now you're trying to get these kids to call each other other. That's so impersonal. Now, you know what I'm saying? I feel that you shouldn't try to promote no type of sexualities on children, whether it's straight heterosexual, bi-curious, whatever, transgender, whatever the hell. Let people grow up the same way I grew up. I grew up to like women, to love women, and to find everything about a woman's body being utterly godly and disgustingly fucking delicious. But that's because that's something I grew up being. Just like I decided to grow up not robbing, killing, and raping people. I grew up to be a productive, law-abiding citizen who just happens, well, not really, but, just happens to fucking know right from wrong. And that's how the world should be. Why y'all not fucking promoting these children to become productive members of society, to respect another individual for who they are, regardless of language, what they eat, where they come from, or what color they fucking skin, or what side of the tracks they live on. But at the same time, you're trying to promote and tell people that the only way a black man or a Hispanic man should have rights in this country is if he likes batting for the same team. That's fucking distasteful. But you guys don't sit up here and talk about the evils and wickednesses of that, but y'all want to sit here and attack something as harmless as a fucking comic book that they just decided, hey, you know what? Let's get some nice little reading and entertainment. I don't see nothing wrong with this. Me personally, I think it's cool. I mean, they needed to set up something to where they can promote. They could have went so many ways on promoting this COVID. Again, they could have just basically had Ultron or some kind of plot, which I personally believe that there was a plot to put this stuff out here to depopulate the planet, but that's a whole nother story. Everybody know I'm a conspiracy theorist. I can go on for hours with that, but I'm not. I'm going to try to concentrate and keep it to this. And everything I was saying in this video, basically leading up to what, to my catch-22s and advocacy on why I think it's a good read. I read the book not only twice, but 3 times. Because I read it last night, and then after I looked at a lot of reviews on YouTube, I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't see that. So this morning I woke up, I read it again, and then right before I did this video, I read it again, and everything basically constructs in my mind that it's exactly how I read it the first time. I am a comic book guy. I've been reading comic books as long as I've been collecting fucking cars and toys. Way before I started collecting action figures, I've been reading comic books, and I didn't collect them. I would just buy them, read them, and then years like in the 90s, I started getting more serious into collecting comics, because 90s was like a big comic boom. And then my boy, Robert Calab, he actually became an intern. He became an intern at Marvel, and he knew a kid, which is ironic because in Manhattan, Marvel Comics is directly across the street from fucking DC. And he had a friend that he knew that worked at DC as an intern, and he was a Marvel intern. Yo, like, once a week, me and Robert would be walking, like, they would do like they did with the newsstands. Like, back in the 80s and 90s, Marvel would get some cardboard and some little shitty comics on the top and the bottom, and they would wrap them in this twine. And they used to take, and they would have them delivered to newsstands. Newsstands, they would just throw them to the newsstand or give it to the newsstand. And the newsstands, even if it rained outside, they would keep some of these fucking books on the floor until they decided to cut the twine off, and then evenly distribute their comic books to their stand. And me and they were heavy. Me and Rob, and back then I was in great shape. We used to hop on the train, man, with tons of Marvel literature. And it was just so fucking hilarious to me on now thinking about that. But anyhow, I've gotten books that I paid $15, $20, $30 for, and the storylines are kind of crappy. And even though it was a part 3, 4, or 2 of 1 of whatever, the storyline's not bad to this. And considering that it's a free book, are you kidding me? Y'all making it seem like if like again, like if they're basically trying to brainwash your kids and getting a COVID test, just in case somebody may or may not want to read this, I'm gonna warn you of a spoiler alert. Again, old man in the middle. I really don't understand the point of there's an old white man here and there's a whole bunch of, everybody else is darker than him, but to each his own. I guess they want him to stand out. He basically is a retired man who I guess works with Shield or whatever because they help clean up the messes of Left Behind with wars Left Behind, and is it Scandinavia where it was the Avengers Age of Ultron or whatever. So this is basically like kind of like a side thing of that, but basically this family is sitting there getting their shots in I guess a clinic or wherever, and they're looking at it, and there's breaking news that that the Avengers are fighting Ultron again, and basically he's not that far from the clinic. So the kids and the kids and stuff are worried about, hey, that's basically like 7-8 blocks from here, whatever, yada yada. Then the old man, he's like real calm and he's like kind of talking, and his daughter is like, yeah, okay, whatever, Pop, sure. But come to find out, he actually knows Tony Stark, and the kid's like, wow, Grandpa, Iron Man, and again, there's advertisement in the back, but this book is not in no way, shape, or form trying to brainwash you like they trying to do with your, trying to brainwash our fucking kids and falling for this bisexual, sick, sadistic shit to where they could try to pass licenses to have you procreate when they decide to, or have your children, mate with the same sex, so you won't be able to procreate because I guess they're trying to find ways to create disease and famine and at the same time try to help depopulate the planet. Who the fuck knows? But to sit here and call Pfizer and Marvel evil for deciding to do this book, I don't see no harm in it. And this is coming from a pure conspiracy theorist, somebody who's not hypocritical or two-faced. I just don't see it. I think a lot of people were sitting here. I looked at least 15 different. I spent about 5 hours yesterday listening to different panels and other idiots up here on YouTube talk about it. And I think some of y'all motherfuckers just trolled and y'all wanted to be sleep sheep who just following behind other sleep sheeping idiots who don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Read the storyline before you sit there and say this shit. This is why it's relatively, sometimes you have to do your own investigations up here on YouTube. There are a lot of people that are against any of this stuff. I'm one of them. But when it comes to this, I don't see no harm, shape, or form into this book. I think it's a decent read. And yeah, it does basically, tell you that, hey, be a hero too, and, this is what you should do. But it's not saying this is what you need to do. There's a difference between should and need. There's a difference between somebody giving you their opinion versus them demanding what you need to do. You understand? That's the difference. And sometimes idiots can't tell a difference because everybody has their own fucking perspective on everything. Just like religion. You have religious people that have their own perspective on what they think the Bible should be. Like, for instance, my mother's mother, God rest her soul, she died last year, my grandmother, my last grandmother. She was an alcoholic, mostly my whole adult life. And I guess she became a so-called born-again Christian. I got my own thoughts on that whole, you can only be born once. I'm not going to really go into religion and shit because I'm going to get a lot of hate. I already got tons of hate anyway, but, she didn't like my brothers because my brothers was raised by my grandmother. Being that my mom had babies young, they were raised by her. So when she decided to get saved, she didn't want nobody to play music or movies in her house. You could, she didn't mind video games if they weren't violent, but this just goes to show people's perspective on what they think the Bible and what the Bible tells them and how everybody have their own perception on how they read a book, colors, taste, driving, any and everything you do in life. You can have a table, a people at a table, and everybody can bite the same piece of meat, come from the same pot, same seasonings, and everybody has different taste buds, different opinions. Everybody's gonna have their own perspective at that fucking dinner table. Or if you have a party and you got people sitting down, and whether it's Thanksgiving or whatever, everybody's gonna have their own experiences on how they experience that piece of sweet potato pie, that piece of cake, that Cool Whip, the fucking water, anything, because everybody have different taste buds and we all experience things differently. Because we all have our own opinions on what we think this should taste like and whatever. So with that perspective, I think that's the different thing on that. So I say the more people out there want to rip this book up, hey, so be it. I got almost 40 copies of these things. I think these books are going to be something sooner or later. They're going to be more desired than hated right now. And I say, have your own agenda on why you decide not to get this book. It's a fucking free book. It's not going to kill you to go into a Pfizer ran area where they're giving out this book for free. Nobody's putting a gun to your head and saying, hey, you need to have this book. You know, they're not going to knock on your door, the FBI or the Department of Disease and Infections not going to knock on your door and say, hey, did you get your Pfizer Marvel comic book? Like, come on, like, be real, man. People talking about how, oh, they're woke, and like, yeah, shut the fuck up, man. Go out there and read the book for yourself. See if you like it. And it's funny because some of these motherfuckers are going to be the same ones that probably looked this shit up on eBay, see what it went for, and they probably got like fucking 15 to 30 copies under their fucking beds themselves. So do your own due diligence on shit and stop falling behind dumbasses because people out there want to, you know what I'm saying, just want to have something to bitch and moan about. One thing I could tell you about YouTube, like all my videos be dope. If I list certain things a certain way, I get so many views just because these piece of shits out there love drama. You know, the more negative something is, the more people want to see it. The more positive it is, the more people want to fall back and be like, that ain't for me. Because the world is so fucked up, sick, and poisoned that it's easier to follow behind drama than to sit there and find something to find good, decent karma. Anyway, peace out, y'all. I think I talked enough. One.